Anyone? How about you, Mark? You know this. Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Mr. Pad Paramahansa Parvajikacharya Ashtotavadata Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBT Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parvajikacharya Ashtotavadata Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavini Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to the assembled devotees. All glory to Shri Guru and Gauranga. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Okay, oops. Sorry about that. All right. On this 14th day of November, 2023 in San Diego, we're reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is, translation and commentary by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're in chapter 3 entitled Karma Yoga, text 5 at the bottom of page 142. Ready? Na hi kaschit chanamapi jatu tishtati akarmakrit karyate yavashach karma sarvah prakriti jayagunai nahi kaschit chanamapi Jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate yavashak karma sarvak prakriti jaya gunai nahi kaschit chanamapi jatu tishtatya karma krit karyate yavashak karma sarvak prakriti jaya gunai Nahi kaschit chanamapi jatatistatya karma krit karyate yavashak karma sarvak prakriti jaya gunai. Go ahead, Nagakir. Nahi kaschit chanamapi jatatistatya karma krit Karyate yavashak karma sarvak prakriti jaya gunai. Go ahead, Chad. Nahi kaschit chanamapi jadutishtatya karma krit karyate yavashak karma sarvak prakriti jaya gunai. Vandamalila. Nahi kaschit chanamapi jatutistatya karma krit karyate yavashak karma sarvak prakriti jaya gunai. Nahi kaschit chanamapi jatutistatya karma krit karyate yavashak karma sarvak prakriti jaya gunai. Anyone online? No. Na, nor he, certainly, kaschit, anyone, chanam, a moment, api, also, jatu, at any time, tishtati, remains a karma krit, without doing something. Karyate is forced to do. He certainly, avashaha, helplessly. Karma, work, sarvaha, all, prakriti jai, born of the modes of material nature. Gunai, by the qualities. Translation. Everyone is forced to act helplessly, according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. Purport. It is not a question of embodied life, but it is the nature of the soul to be always active. Without the presence of the spirit soul, the material body cannot move. The body is only a dead vehicle to be worked by the spirit soul, which is always active and cannot stop even for a moment. As such, the spirit soul has to be engaged in the good work of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, it will be engaged in occupations dictated by the illusory energy. In contact with material energy, the spirit soul acquires material modes. And to purify the soul from such affinities, it is necessary to engage in the prescribed duties enjoined in the Shastras. But if the soul is engaged in his natural function of Krishna consciousness, whatever he is able to do is good for him. The Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17 affirms this. we're on page 143. Can we supply books to them? Chad, get a bunch of books. We have books and stands coming. That's right. Okay. The Bhagavatam 1.5.17 affirms this. Tyakva swadharmam charanam bhujang hare bhajan apakpo tapataitato yadi yatra kvava bhadram abura mushikim kovarta apto bhajatam swadharmataha. Quote, if someone takes to Krishna consciousness, even though he may not follow the prescribed duties in the Shastras or execute the devotional service properly, and even though he may fall down from the standard, there is no loss or evil for him. But if he carries out all the injunctions for purification in the Shastras, what does it avail him if he is not Krishna conscious? Close quote. So the purificatory process is necessary for reaching this point of Krishna consciousness. Therefore, sannyas, or any purificatory process, is to help reach the ultimate goal of becoming Krishna conscious, without which everything is considered a failure. Om jnana timirandasya jnanandana shalakaya chakshu unmilatam mena tasmai shri gurave namaha. I was born in the darkest of ignorance, but my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble obeisance unto him and all members of Shri Parampara. So this chapter is entitled Karma Yoga. Karma means action, and yoga means linking. So karma, in certain contexts, means action according to the Shastra. Then you have akarma, which means action that has no reaction. That's Krishna conscious action. Then you have vikarma, which means action against the rules of the Shastra. Vikarma entangles you more and more in the meshes of the material energy. So this chapter is all about how to act in such a way that we become more and more free from the bonds of karma that we've accrued over many lifetimes. This is the idea. So Krishna says you have to do something. You can't, not, even if you're sitting there silently meditating, the mind is active. The mind is still struggling to keep its, its object of meditation in focus, and you're still acting. You can't do nothing. So the question is how to direct those actions with informed intelligence, so that we become progressively more liberated from the bonds of karma that we have been tied to since time immemorial. So he says, Nahi kaschit chanamapi, you can't do nothing. So the question is, what will you do for your ultimate benefit? And Prabhupada quotes a verse from the Bhagavatam here. Again, this is from that section of the first canto, 5th chapter, in which Narada Muni is instructing Vyasadeva about writing the Srimad Bhagavatam. So what he's saying here is that in this particular verse, Chakvasva dharmam chadanam bhujanga, you may give up, or someone may give up his duties within the varnashram system, swadharmam, and take shelter of the lotus feet of Lord Hari, chadanam bhujang hare, bhajan, and worship him. But his bhajan is a pakva. Now the word pakva is like, it's related to the shvapacha. It means cooking. So it means uncooked. In other words, you don't mature and you don't complete the course in devotional service before you die. And you fall away from the process. So you may practice Krishna consciousness for a year, 5 years, or less. And then it becomes too difficult and you go back to performing karmic activities. So then he says, Yatva kvabhabhadram. Where is there anything abhadra? Where is there anything inauspicious about this? Because we've already learned in the previous chapter, in text 40 of the 2nd chapter, it says, Neha bhikramanashosti pratyabhayam navidyate svapamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. In this activity of Krishna consciousness, bhakti yoga, there's no loss and there's no diminution. And even a little advancement protects you from the most fearful type of danger. Who remembers what that most fearful danger is that we're running in this human life? What is that? Yes, to lose a human form. To act in such a way, we're all human beings here, right? You're human. Everyone's human. Very intelligent young boy, reading Bhagavad Gita. So, I'm just kidding. So what is that value of the human form? I mean, there's billions and millions of insects just probably out well, maybe not in this patio. Although now, I don't know if we swept up the other day, maybe they all came. Anyway, but the idea is that we're in a great minority. It's very rare to have a human form. And what is it about the human life that's so special? The intelligence, the brain power. To understand who we are, why we're suffering, what is the goal of life, and how to reach it. How to end all suffering, how to go back home, back to Godhead, for an eternal life of bliss and knowledge. That certainly doesn't characterize anybody living on the earth today who's just an ordinary person. Even if you're a very good person, you're very kind and dutiful and so forth, still, you have to leave the body and you'll have to come back again in another, probably a human body, which is great. But the human body which is not used for cultivating bhakti yoga, for cultivating the perfect consciousness, is a tragic waste of the human life. And that's why Srila Prabhupada so courageously and amazingly left India in 1965, August, at the age, he turned 69 on the boat. He's riding on not a cruise ship, not a ocean liner, like we had in those days, the Queen Mary and everything, but a cargo ship. He had a free passage on the cargo ship. That means that it was not designed for, comfort of passengers. So it was a very rough ride. He was elderly, his health wasn't that great, and he had 2 heart attacks on the way. But he persevered, he came to America, and he started this movement. He had $7 with him. I mean, it was really amazing. And but he had tremendous faith in the holy name, in this Hare Krishna mantra. Now, what's so special about this mantra? This mantra is spoken of in the Upanishads. There's an Upanishad called the Kali Santarana Upanishad, which means the Upanishad, which, if you follow the instructions, you become freed from the bondage of Kali Yuga. Kali Santarana means to be delivered. So 2 verses in this Upanishad are very important for the Hare Krishna movement. The first verse we all know already. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Iti Shodashakam Nam, Kali Kalmasha Nashanam, Natak Purataropaya, Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. These 16 words, these 16 names of God, Iti Shodashakam Nam, Kali Kalmasha Nashanam. Yeah, if it makes you more comfortable, please take advantage. You're all right? You're doing good. So these 16 names, Kali Kalmasha Nashanam, can destroy all the ills and evils of this Kali Yuga. And we don't have to look very far to find them. We have 2 scary wars going on. We have the climate changing, not for the better, right? In scary ways. And we have all kinds of other things, that we could point to. Said, oh, this is difficult, this is impossible. This is Kali Yuga. It's not supposed to be late Kali Yuga. I mean, it's supposed to go on for another 427,000 years like this. We should aspire to get out, go back to Godhead. So but this mantra counteracts that. In other words, if everyone takes it up, it'll counteract for everyone. But even if just one person takes it up, we can do it personally. For us, we'll be able to tolerate and we'll be able to live in this life without so much anxiety, without so much depression. This is an epidemic. The COVID epidemic is like taking a back seat now. Hopefully it doesn't roar again back for it. But there's an epidemic of anxiety because people are reading the news on their iPhone. It's just, I mean, I've been following the news since I was a kid. I was introduced to the New York Times when I was about 6 years old, because we lived about 25 miles from New York City. And I don't remember a time when there wasn't a war or a threat of war, that America was engaged in. The Vietnam War was this horrible thing. It went on for 10 years. And what do we... So the point is that we're living in an age when it becomes kind of... It's an advantage because we can see how difficult material life is. And so we should really be interested in a type of discipline, which is bhakti yoga, in which we're not going to, leave this planet and go right away to the spiritual world. But even living in this planet, we'll be able to tolerate more. We'll be able to become positive even in the face of all of this, because we'll have a spiritual dimension to our lives and hope. What is there really any hope on material life? No matter, you may have some hopes for becoming, a successful doctor or aspirations to do this, but it all has a time limit. It all has a time limit. It comes to an end. No matter what you dream about doing, there'll be a point where it's over, because you're over. But the first teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is that you don't die. We all live forever. I have this little motto, this little poem. Every body dies. Now you have to see, it's better if you can see it written out. Every space body dies. Who can deny it? So every one of us, we're living in bodies. Every body dies, but nobody dies. Wake up, and open your eyes. You're not that body. You're a pure spirit soul. Chant the holy name and attain life's goal. Now what is that goal? Prabhupada, he had this wonderful phrase, to go back home, back to Godhead. I don't know if anyone else ever came up with that. Back home, back to Godhead. There's some very important information in there. The first is that that's our home. Home is a place where you once were. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, once going there to my abode, you don't come back. So once we go there, there's a phrase in the little motto in English, once burned, twice shy. Prabhupada would actually use that, or they did use the motto, but the example. A little child, I don't know if either of you have ever experienced it, you're curious about the flame on the stove or something. And of course your mother say, no, But then you say, okay, go ahead. And you put your, ouch, Mom, that's burnt, So you'll learn. You'll never do it again. Right? You have experience. So similarly, we have experience of life in this material world. And when you look at the whole, if you think, well, we've been through so many different bodies, so many different things, and it's all ended this, we die and then we go back. So it's not a very pleasant experience. We try to enjoy as much as possible on this plane, but there's always a reaction to it. If nothing else, that pleasure comes to an end, and that is itself is a depressing thought. There's no permanent state of happiness in this world. There's just a lot of struggle for a little flash of happiness, and then you got to go back. I once gave an analogy, or an example I came up with. There's so many families living in this country that they don't have so much money, and but they're making getting by. So visualize a family, maybe say in Kansas, they're farmers, and they're getting by, and they have like 3 or 4 kids, and they see on the TV and on the screens, Disneyland in California, and the kids say, oh, why can't we go to Fantasyland and this land and like that? So, all right, we'll save up some money. So they save, and after 10 years, they're ready to take their trip across country. They got to Winnebago or something, say 2 kids. And the kids are, happy, of course, because, it's a little tough riding with kids that far, but, okay, they make it. There they are in Disneyland. Oh, look at you see, so it's something they aspired for. Now they've achieved it. Yeah, I don't know how much it costs to get in, $60, per person. I don't know what it is now. But they already planned for that. They knew that, and they go, and they take the videos, of the kids riding and everything, and then finally it's over, and they come back, they eat something, and they drive back, and everyone says, oh, that was so wonderful, so wonderful. And then they're back home, and they're not enjoying Disneyland anymore, and it's the same old thing, struggling to go to school and do this and everything, and okay, we can watch the videos, put it on the TV screen, we can remember how to... So it's just like that. You aspire, then you may get it, if you're fortunate, if it's in your karma, and then it's gone. It's over. The time has passed. And you're faced with other challenges as you grow older. And as you grow older and older and older, finally your body starts to, like me. I'm 76 next month. And things I could do before I can't. I know now that I cannot jump up and dance on this stone floor like I used to do. Even 30 years ago when I was here, what to speak of 50 years ago when I was in Brooklyn and I joined. because then I'll have an ankle problem for, a couple of days and I can hardly walk. So that's a minor, relatively minor thing, but that's what happens with the passage of time. What you could once do, you can't do anymore. Once you could once enjoy, it's just a memory now. This is material life. So wouldn't it be wonderful to be in a state of consciousness where you could enjoy all the time by chanting Hare Krishna? Thanks for coming. Hope you got something out of it. I think your parents are leaving. You probably want to leave too. Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I'm sorry you didn't get to see the deities. 8:15 darshan, but it may be too late for you. Haribol. And I know it's a little late, but happy Diwali. Hare Krishna. Okay. Left, always on the left side. There you go. Okay. So they're a personification of Swalpam Apasya Dharma Satrayate Matame. Okay. So now, see, this verse is really important because it expands on that theme that we learned in the second chapter. And what he's saying here, this Narada Muni is instructing Vyasadeva, and so much of what he had written about, like in the four Vedas, Karma Kanda section, it's all about doing your duty and worshiping the gods and doing all the rituals right, so that you'll go to heaven, or at the very least you'll be born in a much better family next. You know what I mean? So that's but here he's saying you can give up all that. Your swadharma, within Varnashram Dharma. Give it up and take shelter of Hari, but doesn't complete the course, maybe just for a few years or even less. Where is there patetadori yatra kavabadram? What is there anything inauspicious with that? And believe me, we've had plenty of people who've joined this movement for a few months, a few weeks, and they even in this temple we've seen people come and go. But they didn't lose anything. No matter what else they do in this lifetime, that's there in their spiritual bank account. Because it's not like something material, which is always ephemeral. No matter how much you achieve, it's all attached to this body. You can make $1 million and you have a big bank account and that has your name on it. And what's the name of? The name is your body. When that spirit soul leaves the body, it leaves the money behind. So what did you achieve? Another birth? Great. Birth, old age, disease, and death. So it's simply a fool's errand. Maya's, con men. This world is full of con men. All of the capitalism is made of that. Advertising, you'll be happy, buy this. And of course the whole essence is that they sell it to you for more than they paid for it. So they make a profit, right? So, but the greatest con artist is actually Maya Devi. She's conning us into thinking that we can be happy in this material world, that there's pleasure in the senses. Now, Rishabdev, he has this lesson I was speaking about to you. I'm going to go through this because within the Bhagavatam and the Gita also, you'll find lessons within the chapters. The chapters themselves have a theme, and they're usually, they have a beginning, middle, and end. But within the chapters, you'll find like verses that provide a complete lesson. It'd be nice to remember. So Rishabdev is great. Even that first verse is a whole lesson in and of itself, of his teachings, where he says, Nayam deho deya bhajangaloke. I put it into an English little verse. It's based on Rishabdev, but it's the basic idea. He's speaking to his sons, and I'm just speaking to all of you, my friends. He says, don't waste this precious human life, dear friend, by working hard for hoggish happiness. That's right from Rishabdev. He uses the word hog, stool eating hog. He uses it. It's stool, I swear, it's in the Sanskrit. Don't waste this precious human life, dear friend, by working hard for hoggish happiness. Through bhakti yoga, worldly life transcend and learn to taste divine love's endless bliss. Now that's the key element. It's endless. All of this material life is maya sukhaya. It's flickering happiness that just keeps you wanting more and more until the end of life, when your mind is filled with all desires to enjoy more and you get another body. And the whole thing, the basic principle is a lot of austerity and suffering for a little happiness, a little pleasure. That's material life. Whereas the spiritual life, the process of bhakti yoga is a little austerity, but compared to what you read about, even in great, yogis going out into the forest, No, you don't have to do that. But there is austerity. But it's very small compared to the ocean of happiness that you can get by following the process. So do you want a lot of austerity for a little flickering happiness, or a little austerity for endless, unending bliss? That's what Rishabhdev says. So now he goes on with his sons. He's speaking to his sons and other great sages who came to listen. So then he has these verses. Prabhupada will quote them all the time, especially the first one. Nunam pramattak kurute vikarma. It's all about karma yoga. Nunam pramakta kurute vikarma yadindriya pritiya apranoti na sadhumanye yata atmanoyam asannapi kleshada asadeha. There's so much knowledge and wisdom in that one verse. So he says nunag means certainly. Pramattak, mad. Who's mad? Certainly someone's mad. Kurute vikarma, those who perform all kinds of vicious activity, not caring about any rules or regulations, like mass slaughterhouses. Yad indriya pritiya. Indriya priti is exactly translated as sense gratification. Indriya priti, pleasing the senses. Apranoti, for the sake of sense gratification, flickering sense gratification, those who are working hard and performing all kinds of vicious activities that are going to come back at them with great suffering, just for a little sense gratification, they're certainly mad when you kind of step back and look at what the whole thing is about. And then he explains why, the basic reason why that's crazy. Vikarma sadhu manye. My opinion is it's not a very good idea. Sadhu has several meanings. One is, of course, a devotee, a sadhu, wise person, as Krishna defines it, who is always worshipping me. But sadhu in general can mean very good. Just like you'll see in the Bhagavatam itself, Krishna does some wonderful trick or dancing, and the boys are saying, sadhu, sadhu. They're not calling Krishna sadhu. They're basically saying, bravo, bravo. Very good. Very nice, So here he's saying, na sadhu, it's not very good. Not a good idea to work hard for a little flickering happiness. Na sadhu manye, my opinion, says Lord Rishabhdev, who's an incarnation of Krishna. Na sadhu manye yata atmanoyam, because the soul, by that activity, is sure to get another body. Asan api kleshada asa deha. Deha means the material body. We're all sitting in the deha. We're called dehina. It's easy to remember what that means. In the body, in the deha, we're called dehina. So the result of performing all this vicious activity to enjoy sense gratification, no rules, no regulations, in other words, just look outside the door, and is that you're sure to get another body, which will give you great klesha, misery. In other words, you're ensuring a future life of misery, which far outweighs the little flickering happiness that you got from the sense gratification. In other words, you're crazy. It's a bad investment. So then he goes on, and this is the key verse, the middle verse. Padabhavas tavada bodha jato. Now, in Sanskrit, it's a wonderful language, and they have pairs. Yavat tavat. Yavat usually means negatively, that if you don't do this, you won't get that. Yavat tavat. And there's two pairs of that in this one verse. So I'll explain as we go on. Padabhavas tavat abodha jato yavan jigyasata atma tattvam yavat kriyas tavadidam manovai karmatmakam yena sharira bandha. So here's what that verse means. Padabhavas means defeat. Defeat means, in the Vedic context, take another birth. You've been defeated if you have to take another material birth with all of its inherent sufferings. Birth, old age, disease, and death, threefold miseries. What brings that defeat about? It's caused by ignorance. Abodha jatu. Bodha, buddhi, the Buddha. So abodha is lack of knowledge, means ignorance. It's born, jata means born of ignorance. Parabhabas tavada bodha jato, yavan the jigyasata atma tattvam. And you will remain in ignorance and be defeated as long as you don't inquire into the absolute truth. Just like it says in the beginning of the Vedanta Sutra. We don't have to know the Vedanta Sutra. It's beyond us. Prabhupada never taught us to do that. But it's good to know a few basics. The first two. If you get the first two down, you can do a lot with it. So the first one is Atato Brahma Jigyasa. So this is the end of knowledge. This is the distillation of all the Vedic knowledge now coming. This Vedanta means the end of knowledge. Prabhupada's name, Bhakti Vedanta, means Bhakti is the end of knowledge. So it begins, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. They're little sutras, aphorisms. Now, therefore, having come to a human form of life, that's implied, you should inquire into Brahman, the absolute truth. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now, what is that Brahma? Where everything has come from. What is the cause of everything? You see? So that's answered in the next sutra. They keep you waiting. Janmadyasya yataha. That which, defining Brahman, is that which causes the janma, is the source of everything, and the word adi is there, very important, etc. So with creation comes maintenance and then final destruction. Those three. Who is the final cause, or Ishvara, the controller of the creation, maintenance, and destruction of everything? Janmad yasya yataha. Yasya means what we see everywhere. And that, of course, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's not just impersonal Brahman. Brahman is not a person. It doesn't have intelligence separate. It's Krishna. So therefore, he's saying, Rishabdev, don't forget that the Srimad Bhagavatam is certified by Lord Chaitanya as the best commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. That's why he didn't write one. And no one wrote one until Baladev Vijayabhushan a few 100 years later, 200 years later. And there's a story behind that. But there is a Gaudiya Vaishnava commentary. It's called the Govinda Bhasha, because he felt that Govinda was writing it. He was just holding the pen. You know, he was inspired by Govinda at every moment. So, you will remain ignorant of everything you need to know, who you are, what is Brahman, what is the source of everything, as long as you don't inquire about it. You see? Jigyasa, that's right in the Vedanta Sutra. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. What are we interested in? What are we putting our attention on? This is what human life is all about. If you put your attention on what everyone else, what is happening in this age, which is how can I enjoy the most? How can I please these senses and mind? Then you're millions of miles away from Brahma Jigyasa, your stock market Jigyasa, or whatever it may be. So that's the key. What are we focusing our attention? What are we inquiring about? What are we learning about? What are we aspiring for? So he goes on with the verse, and he says, here's the result of not inquiring about yavat kriyas. As long as you, because of this, you will be performing kriya. In this case, means fruit of activity. Kriya, in this case, karma, fruit of ordinary activity for sense gratification, long or short term, subtle or gross. Yavat kriyas, as long as you keep doing this karma, then yavat kriyas tavadidam manovai karmatmakam. Your mind will remain saturated with karmic ideas, fruit of ideas, hopes and dreams and regrets of past losses and all this stuff. That's a mind that is karmatmakam. Which yena is instrumental, by which you're going to get another body, which will be bondage, sharira bandha. You see, it's a whole lesson in that one verse. So in other words, you have to inquire. The whole Bhagavatam is, if you want to inquire, we got the answers right here. Everything's right there. But so this is why the book tradition is so important. And so the last verse, now the Rishabdev, he's an incarnation of Krishna. So he says, Avidyatman upadiyamane. The last one is leaving me, but he has the third line is the key. He says, Pritir niyavan mai vasudeve namuchade dehi yogena tavat. Pritir means love. Pritir, again, yavatavat. As long as you don't have love, nayavan, for me, Vasudev, Rishabdev is revealing, I'm Vasudev, Krishna, in the form of Rishabdev. Priti niyavan namuchate dehi yogena tavat. As long as you do not develop love for God, you will not be able to get real liberation. That's what this is about. And that is directly addressing all of those Brahmavadis and Mayavadis especially, who are trying to get liberation without bhakti, without Krishna, trying to simply negate their unlimited material desires, gross or subtle, without transferring the attachment to Krishna. You see, this is the great advantage of devotional service. You can't stop desire. Just as Krishna says, you can't stop activity. So if you're not acting for your liberation, you're going to be acting for your bondage. It's one or the other. And acting for your liberation means acting for Krishna. The same sweeping, the same work, the same reading activity, but in relation to Krishna. Just like we have prasadam at the end of the class. We're not just going to have dinner, a snack. We're going to take prasadam, right? It's a spiritual act. You have to remember that. It's been prepared and offered with love and offered, and like that. So then it becomes spiritual. Music, such a big thing. Obviously, it can degrade you, There's so much crazy, degrading sounds out there. But there's also uplifting sounds, there's purifying sounds. That's the great advantage. We can't see Krishna right now, but we can hear him. We can hear the holy name. And by that hearing, you're purifying. You're purifying your consciousness, the senses, the mind, everything. And that purification coming back to your natural state. Don't forget, we're naturally pure. This being bound to a material body is unnatural for the soul. Our original intrinsic state is to be with Krishna in the spiritual world. So Krishna is now going to tell us so many things about how to act basically for sacrifice. Rather than just to try to enjoy the fruits of our activity, to connect those fruits with Krishna. Okay, let me make this money, or let me achieve this thing, but let me do it for Krishna's pleasure. And we'll find if we do that, that we'll also start experiencing spiritual pleasure. That's not dependent on anything else. It's just dependent on our own mind and our own senses. And, of course, to have an environment that's been given to us, and books and knowledge. But that's Prabhupada work to give us that. So we should take advantage of it, as you are, by wisely, not listen to me, but listen to the words of Srila Prabhupada here. Okay, any questions on these points? This is wonderful, Prabhupada's quoting this verse. Yes, Chad. Oh, what happened? We didn't bring the mic. There's one. Okay.
So this was something I was thinking about. Does the potency of the holy name change if you're vibrating it, say singing or chanting, versus saying it in your mind? I mean, obviously, if you're remembering Krishna, that's a good thing. But does the potency change at all if you're vibrating the name?
No, the potency is there. The question is, our approach to it and our appreciation for it will change according to basically our focus and our absorption, and also our feeling. In other words, if we really, Queen Kunti has this wonderful prayer dealing with that. It's not exactly what you asked, but it'll give the right answer. She's saying there, Aishvaryasya Janmaishwarya Shuta Shibir Edamana Badakpuman Naivarhatya Bidatam Vai Tvama Kinchana Gochara. This is all about chanting the holy name. So she's giving there, the first is a list of 4 basic opulences that people aspire for or hope for. Good birth in a good family, a wealthy family, a pious family like that. That's called Janma. Aishwarya, money. Shuta, education, and Shibir, physical beauty. Okay? These are like 4 basic, fields of opulences you can have, material. Edamana Madak Puman. That person, Puman, who is, intoxicated, progressively intoxicated with these things, who is measuring them, and the ones that he has and others have more or less, and aspiring to achieve some that you can achieve. Good birth is you got it or you don't have it, but I'll make a lot of money, or I'll try to be as beautiful as possible, or whatever, So those who are progressively attached to those things and are absorbed in those things may also utter your name, but not with feeling. Naiva hatya bidatam vai tvama kinchana gochara. They do not deserve, are not qualified to call out to you with deep feeling. Abhidatam means to address you, You are the property of the propertyless. In other words, who don't aspire for these things, but just aspire for you, they can really chant your name with deep feeling. So the point is that how you approach the name, and how you how shall I put it? Basically, your focus and your consciousness that's underlying it, how you're approaching it. If you have tremendous faith, your faith, that, oh, I see, Lord Chaitanya's recommended this name, Srila Prabhupada has chanted it, I've seen so many, I read about it in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, I see so many devotees who are blissful. Let me try it, and let me, go through that. Because your mind is going to be fighting it at first. There's so many memories and so many things, and you're just not used to it. So there's a period there where you have to struggle to focus and be determined to chant. But the more that you do that and follow the program and abstain from those things which distract you from Krishna, that's the two things. There's this one verse, and this one I hope I can remember. I got to review these verses more. The process of surrender. What is this Sharanagati? We talk about surrender. It sounds pretty formidable. I don't know. You think of the Japanese surrendering to the Americans, whatever. It's not like that. So here's the formula. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyati vishvaso goptadvevananam tata atmanikshepa karpani shadguna sharanagati. Shadvidagana, I think exactly less. These are the 6 elements of Sharanagati, which is surrender. So the first is Anukulesa Sankalpa, means accepting those things that are favorable for devotional service. Now, how do we know what those things are? From the Acharya, from the Shastra. What's favorable is chanting 16 rounds a day, or chanting Hare Krishna as much as possible. Chanting, even chant one name, So that's obviously something. But there's other things to accept. The association of devotees, So there's a list. And giving up those things which are against devotions, which are harmful. Obviously the 4 regular principles and so many things. So anukulyasa sankalpa, and important bad association. Because what is it? Sangat sanjayate kama. As you associate, so your desires develop. Every parent knows that. Who are you hanging out with? What are those sites you're getting on? Now, that's also association. Hare Krishna. So, anukulyasya partikulasya varjanam rakshishyatiti vishvaso. And this you find played out in the Krishna book and so many stories. And confident that Krishna will protect. And you see so much where, we just had this Govardhan Leela. The cowards were confident in this cataclysm that Krishna will protect. Well, what is he going to do? These hailstones are coming. They're as big as basketballs. No, they didn't use that word, but that's what it was. And sure enough, Krishna performs this miracle and just lifts it up and come on under. Don't worry, I won't drop it, And we got an arrangement, the water won't come in, just bring everybody in, and the cows, And they trusted him, and it worked. So Rakshi and Goptadvevanananta, that Krishna will maintain, just like the sannyas, giving everything up and walking into the forest. Can I bring a tent? Can I have a backpack? No. You just walk into the forest and, protection comes. So Prabhupada had that. He got on that boat. Krishna will protect. And it looked touch and go there for a while. Was he protecting? The boat is seasickness and heart attacks. And then he comes in a dream, said, don't worry. I'm taking charge of the boat. And then miraculously, the middle of hurricane season, which I was very aware of for 6 years, when I lived in Miami, the Atlantic becomes, that's the time. August, September is a big time for hurricanes. Calm as glass. And the captain had his wife with him. And she was joking with Prabhupada, can you please come back with us as we return? We never had a crossing like that before, as calm as that. So Krishna makes those arrangements. Prabhupada had full faith in that. So that's Rakshishasthiti, confident in Krishna, and Prahlad Maharaj, Haridas Thakur, And then Goptadvevanananta, this is the big thing, that Krishna will maintain. This is something that you don't realize when people were joining this movement in the 70s. I didn't have a lot of money, but I had a job, I had a car, and I had an apartment, and a little bank account. I had worked for a whole year in a hospital. So, but I was reading the books, and anyway, so I joined up, actually it was before, I emptied my bank account with the $1,500, which was 4 or 5 times what it is today, in the early 70s, But I immediately became the best friend of the temple commander. He says, "Oh, Bhakta Tam, nice to see you again." Because that was a substantial ability. But I was just, I said, "Well, I'm going to do it," and I did it, and I never looked back. That's what it takes ultimately. So, but it's not easy. And then Atmanikshepa Karpane, always remaining in a humble position and having no interest other than Krishna. So this is a surrender. So that's, and if you're chanting while doing those things, chanting will be, you'll be relying on the chanting, you'll be praying, you'll be saying, okay, I'm experiencing this, and somehow I'm able to tolerate it without a whole bunch of anxiety, because I can see that, it's working. So it's the focus, the attention, and your willingness to give up other things that distract you from Krishna. That's the big thing. And you find that the more when you pray to Krishna and you focus on it, then that chanting itself makes these other things dry. You're not interested anymore. I'm no longer interested in smoking a joint every night when I come back from work. No, no more. I don't care. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. They had to stay high forever. You could stay high forever with chant Hare Krishna. It's intoxicating, in a good way. No bad result. Antonella, you look like you were to ask something.
Oh, it's Hare Krishna. It's just real quick. It's just a curiosity about the soul. So let's say there's a soul of a mother and a soul of a child. They're really bonded. And then let's say the child, could be you, progresses and he will never come back. He never reincarnates again. And the mom instead doesn't progress as much and reincarnates. So those two souls, how they're going to be connected in the next life? Because one doesn't have the body anymore, and the other one. So are they going to be? Maybe a silly question, but I'm just thinking about it.
Those type of things I certainly couldn't answer for sure. But the idea is that practicing Krishna consciousness is auspicious not only for you, but anyone who is involved with you, who has a feeling for you. And that's why Prabhupada said the best thing we can do for our parents is become Krishna conscious. Because they're going to think, like my father, whenever he would see me, he would say, "When are you going to get out of that thing?" But even on his deathbed, he said, "What are you going to?" So, but he was thinking about me. And he was thinking, "Oh yeah, my son, he's a Hare Krishna." Boop. He just chanted Hare Krishna, you see? I mean, how else is it that Prahlad's, all of his descendants and his forefathers, the forefathers, the people who left their bodies already, what connection is there? Prahlad knows who they are, so he's thinking of them. And the ones after him, they're thinking of him. He's already got back to Godhead. But Bali Maharaj, he's aware of Prahlad, and he becomes. So there's a connection. So there'll remain a connection. That's the idea. And that simple connection, one will think of the other, and says, "Oh, my son, he went back to God. He was a Hare Krishna. Let me look at them. Let me find out, about that movement, whatever." Wherever there is just a little bit of awareness of Krishna, it's all auspicious for the persons, especially that holy name. There's one passage in the Chitraketu chapters we read in the 6th canto a few months ago. And usually you hear, if you just, it's an editing thing, which I maybe have to correct. If you just chant the name Krishna once, you can't chant the name Krishna once. Chanting means to repeat again and again. If you just utter the name Krishna once, it's so auspiciously conquered, so many lifetimes of karma. It's not that Krishna can't do that. Well, it has to be, regulated. No, he can do it. It can be a special thing. So, but this one didn't even say you have to chant once. You have to utter once. If you just hear it once, so that's a great impetus for Harinam. People hear, they say, "Oh, there's the Hare Krishnas again." They don't say anything, but the name enters into the ear, and it's also auspicious. So it's like you're giving out medicine, to cure the birth and death. And it's a start. It's a start for them. Whereas so many millions of people will never hear this. They haven't started, they're in danger. So that's the thing. It's a complex relationship. But wherever there's anybody who you're involved with gets into Krishna consciousness, and you have some relation with some emotional thing, then that's good for you also. And you even if you don't become a Hare Krishna, because it'll always be, yeah, my cousin, he's great, but he joined the Hare Krishnas. Whoop! I just chanted the name. All right, we better get adjourned. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. So we have one more class this week. You're all invited. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.